Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another episode of Chalkboard Chats. If this is the first time you're watching this, hi. Thank you for watching. My name is Henry. I am a part-time English teacher and a full-time life coach for teachers. And on this channel, we discuss all things teaching and everything in support of teachers. So I have been absent for a while because I was home. I was on holiday. I was visiting my friends, my family, and I was in Europe during the winter. It was cold, but it was great. It was absolutely great. And I simultaneously love being back home and I love being back here. I love that I have another place on the planet that I call home. And then as soon as I'm back here in Vietnam, I'm like, oh, I'm so happy to be home too. So it was good. It was lovely to see friends. It was great to see family. Did a lot of hiking, spent a lot of time in nature, did a lot of gossiping with the family, with my auntie. Yeah, it was good. But I'm also very happy to be back here because I had to put my dog in a dog hotel. And although they take really good care of her every time I pick her up, it feels like we're starting a whole new relationship. So I've been back home for just over a week now, and finally my jet lag stopped. So I am back on it. And I wanted to do today's topic about cover teachers because coming back to work was a very interesting experience. I walked back into let's say my favorite class. And I love these students. This is I think my best class, my most entertaining class. The students are very diverse, but just a lot of fun to teach. And as I stood there and I was kind of gauging their reactions, how they felt about me being back was very interesting. Some of the students were like, "Oh, they're back! She's back! Oh my God!" She was running. One of my students saw me walk into the building and then she ran up to her friends to tell them that I just walked into the building. That was very good for my ego. I was very, very happy to see that. But as I was standing in front of the class and I asked them about the cover teacher, I caught myself thinking, hoping for two things. Simultaneously hoping that the cover teacher was great, and also simultaneously hoping that they had a terrible time, that they're so happy that I'm back. So that was a very, very interesting moment. It actually, I got my wish because this class, one out of the 4 or 5 classes that I teach, one class was covered by two different teachers, and apparently one was great and the other one was very, very challenging. So I got what I wished for, but it was very interesting to discuss other teachers with the students and with the teaching assistant who has been helping the other teachers in this class. And I noticed immediately during the first class being back that they were used to a different teacher, which for me was a very great lesson because my teaching assistant was a lot more active. And I realized that I tend to want to do everything myself. Um, so to see both TAs be very active, I was like, okay, I want to incorporate this into the future where I do a bit more of an active engagement, that I engage them more actively into it too. And I have to practice with giving them directions without telling them what to do. I want to stay away from that. And that's something that haven't really explored yet. So I'm really excited about that. But it was really cool to see the teaching assistant being very active. I was like, okay, so something that the previous teacher did was have them be a lot more active in class, which suits me, suits her, suits the students. So I'm going to definitely continue with that. Um, and I don't know, it was just very interesting. Some of my other classes had tests. So other teachers did the tests and I haven't actually looked at the results. So I'm not really sure if this teacher has been grading a lot more strict or a lot more freely. I don't know. But also at the same time, that's not something that I look out for, because I grade the way I grade, and it's not really useful for me to compare unless I notice that maybe a student who has been great all of a sudden has failed. I'm not sure. We'll see. But I'm not going to spend too much time and energy on that. But I'm just curious to see how they grade, what they grade, what decisions they make. Because yes, we follow the rubric. So technically, everybody should get the same grade. But this company has some interesting interpretations for the answer keys. So I've just graded something else, and I noticed I can be, they give me the option to be very lenient or very strict. If there are 5 questions and there are 10 points, then I have the option with 1 or 2 points per question. So what I usually do is I divide it into something that is kind of obvious and fair. But with the previous test, I actually had to kind of come up with a creative solution, because I was like, I can't be very strict with one person, very lenient with the other, and there wasn't a clear indication of what was asked and how the points should be divided. So that's just something that is just interesting to see. But um, the other thing that I wanted to talk about with cover teachers, so in our teacher lounge, the company that I work for, they track the amount of students who sign up after their first course or second course, or after they call it pay period. So when you buy at our school, you buy a course for a year. And this gives the school a lot of freedom to move the students around in the courses. Um, and it's very handy for the school. But that does mean that sometimes halfway during a course, the parent is like, oh yeah, this is the end of the payment period and we're making changes in our lives. So then the kid has learned half of the course and then they drop out. Same with joining, same with I had students join one lesson before the test. I was like, I don't think this is great. Anyway, they list all the teachers, they make a list, and they order the list on their percentages. So just before or after Christmas, around Christmas time, I was dead last. And then end of January, around my birthday time, I was first. And then just before I left, I was on like second or third place. And then when I came back, I was somewhere in the middle, top middle. Now I don't really believe in the way that they track this, because they're tracking, they're putting us in a hierarchy based on what other people do. And I just disagree with it. I don't think we control what the parent does. I've had so many parents who moved to a different district in the city, so the kid had to move, and that shows up in my ranking. I've had students who were put in the wrong level, and that shows up in my ranking too. So I look at that ranking, I'm a bit like, why is this so important? Why? Well, the thing is, like, this company, they of course value the teachers who have a very high resigning rate. It's not resigning, they call it. They have a different name for it. But what I noticed, I came back, another colleague came back, and this colleague actually looked at the ranking, and he was like, hey, I am below because you covered my class. And he kind of said it in the way as like a joke, but I was like, no, 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 you're actually blaming your colleague for the ranking that you have, because they covered his classes. He was absent for a while. And I was like, I find it weird that we use this against ourselves, because when I first saw my name at the bottom, I was like, wait a second, have my classes been that bad? No, my classes have been always the same. Somehow, though, just because of these students who were at the end of the payment period decided not to extend, shows up on my ranking. So around Christmas, I was all the way at the bottom. And then at the end of January, in my world, nothing had changed. except at the end of January, all of a sudden I was at the top. So to use that as an indicator or to use that against ourselves, I find it very strange. So I just had this kind of like weird feeling about other people covering my classes, because when we look at the ranking and we take some value from it on, and we kind of, decide this is how I'm doing, I'm like, no, no, no. I get very defensive, very protective of my class, because that, the ranking, it means that if you cover my class and you're doing a bad job, my ranking goes down. And I was like, this is not healthy. This is not, and I can't wrap my mind around it, why we have this. And I understand it for the company way, because the company's view is that is what makes money. So they're rewarding us for making money for them. But it's so far away from us, because I have nothing to do with my colleague. We don't communicate on the class as much as maybe they want us to, or as in depth. But when somebody covers the class, it's literally, how were the students? What did you cover? What material did you cover? And what is still available for me to, review, to catch up on? Is there something that I need to know? And that is it. And we don't look at the individual person, the individual student whose parents have not paid for the next year yet. That is not something that we look at. They shove it in our face. They show us, look, this is the list. These are the people that will be at the end of their payment period in this month. And then we look at it and I'm like, I don't know the parents. I have never seen the parents. I've never met the parents. What am I going to do with it? Tell the kids, tell your parents to pay? I'm off on a tangent. Anyway, it was just very interesting to see how other people took a ranking like this, and how we have a very strange relationship with cover teachers, because it made me for 1 second a little bit fearful that they've had an amazing cover teacher, and that my students were sad to see me walk back into the school. Some of my students, I've had both reactions. One student was like, oh no, I actually like the previous teacher. I was like, that's great. Many students were like, oh yeah, I'm so happy that you're back. I was like, that's great too. And to see our conversations to other teachers, and how it's so normal in our conversation to blame the teacher for the result in the class. And I want to dive into that, because I just strongly disagree. That is not a healthy approach. I don't think it's useful, and I don't think it's true. I don't think it's true at all that we have so much influence on what students do and what the parents do as well. So yeah, those are my comments on today. It's fun. It's nice to be back. It's hot here though. It's so hot. I come from the Netherlands, where it was, just 5-10 degrees, but when it's windy, a little bit rainy, it's really, really cold. And here it's a 35, and I'm waiting for rainy season. So I'm really, really excited for that to start. Anyway, have a wonderful day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.